We're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Perform 2018, Dynatrace Perform 2018. That is, I am Brian Wilson with, I guess maybe we say PerfBites, Pure Performance, and James Pulley of PerfBites. Hello, James.
Hello.
Good to
Hello,
see you
Mr.
again. It's
Wilson.
been a while, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure has. And we've got this crazy person sitting next to us right now. He's
Mr.
looking all
Henrik
wild.
Rexit.
Yes, Mr. Henrik Rexit of Neotys. How you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Good to see you.
Yeah, me too. It's always a pleasure to be here and perform.
Yes, excellent. Well, James is looking at me, so I'll say, you've come here from a far distance, right?
Far distance, it's a couple of hours of flight, I guess.
No, I mean the elevators are
Yeah.
pretty far. And you've got,
No, from the same place as the Cognacs.
uh,
From France.
yes. You got some new news about Neotys and Dynatrace to share possibly with us?
Yeah, I think last year, the last perform, we saw the latest version of the Dynatrace with the AI. So I think that was an awesome feature. So seeing the AI, you think, let's take advantage of the AI for load testing. I mean, everyone wants to have that for sure, save time during the analysis. So this is what we did by building this fresh new integration with the new platform Dynatrace. So when you combine Neoload and Dynatrace, simply you get all the data in one place, which is Dynatrace. I don't know if you've been. I mean, remember when I was doing load testing with AppMon, which is a really awesome tool, but there was a couple of metrics missing. So I was like switching Neoload, getting back in AppMon, switching
Yeah,
Neoload.
it's always cumbersome to switch from one tool to the other to get a comprehensive view of performance of the system. And correct me if I'm wrong, what you've done is you've taken all of those discrete metrics related to application performance that you're collecting in Neoload, and you're pushing them into Dynatrace so you get these extra data points that you can use for comparison.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is that Dynatrace doesn't know the user load. Dynatrace doesn't know if there's a transaction pass or fail or failure rates during the test itself. So those data, we're pushing it directly with the help of your API, the API that's been built on top of Dynatrace. So all those missing data that was not there is now available. So, and then we're also putting some events on the services of the application. And I think from this moment you get custom events, then you can do very easy cross comparison between one test to another. So it helps you to trend, in fact, if there's any regression from one test to another.
I'm curious to see. I know part of what we're going to be talking about might be tomorrow. I know we have upgrades to our AI engine that are going to be announced. The details of that, they don't really show the stuff with us too much beforehand. But I'd be curious to see. I know part of the idea is it's going to allow you to feed external data into the AI. So I'd be curious to see round two of this maybe if it would be possible to feed in data. Like, let's say you have a dedicated performance instance of this, so that you can feed in data to the AI with it and have the AI help you analyze the performance testing. Because obviously, the performance data you usually analyze a little bit different than like production data. So, because you're doing a control test, usually comparing test over test. So it'd be really interesting to see what can go on with that.
See, one of the coolest side effects I think of this is not only the AI that comes into play that can analyze for patterns and things of that nature, but since Dynatrace can live in the cloud, there's no reason why, as a test is ongoing, I can't have 2 or 3 different analysts around the world, all with different eyes on what's going on in the test, providing live analysis of the test, remote, and then when the test is complete, providing complementary, in some cases overlapping views of what's going on in performance. It just makes it that much easier to approach the data from a remote perspective, do the analysis, and provide a comprehensive report back to the owners of the system. Let's face it, a lot of systems today are blocked in the sense of multi-user access to test results while the test is ongoing, and even in the end, can you have multiple people actually opening the same test results set? Existing tools are cumbersome. You can do it, but having it all in a service architecture like Dynatrace, being able to access it, that's fantastic. I think that's good.
Another thing that you would probably like is the fact that we are linking our data to our Neoload web dashboard. So, like you said, if you want to have a cross comparison, different teams doing cross-analysis in Dynatrace, but they want to jump back to Neotys and say, what about the settings, what about blah, 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 the statistics that we see in Neotys, and you can just one-click jump back to the dashboards in Neotys.
Yeah, and that's fantastic.
And when you were talking about that, you put me back in that mind, brought back flashbacks of nightmares. So years ago, I used to be a performance tester, and I used a different tool, one of the bigger tools that I hope is no longer a competition. People probably still kicking around. We won't mention names, but Mark used to work for him. And man, I tell you, the worst part. Oh, well, yeah. So to me, it was always the most painful part was after the test run, gathering up all the data into not only presentable form, but gathering the data to be able to get other people to look at without having to plug it over to my desktop. And as you were talking about this idea of just people logging into a website, or a website, with a web-based tool, looking at the data.
I hate to use this term, but promiscuous access to performance data.
That's a really good term for it, but it's, man, I do not miss that. So it's really, to be a performance tester today, to have the integrations that you're building, to have, just also the fact that you mentioned this the other day when we were talking, the fact that people aren't being like, well, this is our data, it stays in our tool, we're not going to put it in the other tool because we want you to look at it in our tool. But it's like, let's make this easy for people to use. We have data, you have data, let's find a great place for everybody to look at the data and consume it. And that's fine, right? There's no longer that ownership and that jealousy amongst different tools, even if they're not competing tools. It's just this, the whole DevOps community kind of goes into the whole tool piece too.
Yeah, that's getting into like data pools and things of that nature of publicly accessible data within the enterprise for read access that anybody can leverage.
Yeah.
But yeah, one other thing that I had in mind is from the moment we got a centralized data for how the application behaves, response time, testing assets, and so on. And imagine instead of having one Jenkins plugin for Neotys, one Jenkins plugin for Dynatrace, and people are jumping back and forth to see, okay, how is my code behaving, how was my server behaving, then going back to Neotys plugin and say, how was my training going on there? Then you can imagine one single plugin for it, one ring.
Yeah.
So where you can just extract the data from Dynatrace, because we are sending our data in Dynatrace.
Right.
Dynatrace, we can imagine that plugin will give you a 360 degrees vision of what is the level of performance.
Of course, the miracle would be that the AI responds back to Jenkins with a gate and says, "Do not deploy further. You shall go no further."
Well, yeah,
on this
that's
path.
definitely pretty easy to do. See the test pass or fails. But the other cool thing too is, again, and I'm not saying it has to be fed into Dynatrace, wherever you feed it, right? Not only do you have your performance results, so let's say you see some strange behaviors, some strange metric readings in there. If you're in, let's say you are in Dynatrace and your production system is also hooked up to the same tenant, you say, well, let me see what this looks like in production. Right there, switch it over to the production tenant or the production set of the data and say, okay, this is an existing pattern we see in production already. We know, we don't necessarily have this, but it exists. It's pre-existing condition. Or this is not happening in production, or you maybe even find this isn't happening in production, but look at our traffic model. We don't see this kind of traffic model in production, so therefore, maybe your test is wrong. But all in that same view, I don't know, it's cool stuff.
I think so. And I think also from one part of the announcement that has been done today is about the thing that I really liked is the replay of the user session. So this is, when I saw that, I say, oh my god, I'm going to use Selenium, combine it with load testing, and then for free users, if something goes bad, they can go back to Dynatrace and see the replay. So this is just awesome.
Yeah, so using replay to look at your browser-driven tests.
Yes.
Very interesting idea. And I think another cool thing that you might be able to do, and what I would like to see, because again, replay, none of us know what's under the hood of it yet. I would like to see if there are data points under that hood, because I guess you kind of have it near the end, but if you're looking at modeling load, right, you can actually see how users interact, not just see the actions they take and the tree they take. You can actually see how they interact with it. which may or may not help you model a load test. But I'd be interested to see how that might contribute at some
where
point.
it would help you model a load test is if you have loading which is progressive below the fold. That is, I only load what is visible, and as I page down, then I'm loading additional assets, just below the level of what's visible. So it's transparent to the user, but I'm not having to load 10,000 things on a page right up front. I'm just loading 50, 50, 50, 50 small discrete amounts. So I can absolutely see where having that analysis of user behavior in the system would be completely valuable in the case of
And something also I had in mind is that when I look at the new Dynatrace platform, I think there's a lot of things potentially that we can make. I think we talked about it during the POC. You mentioned about imagine an AI system that helps you to tune out your servers.
Yes.
And I said, right, why not? Let's try to make a script with a couple of different settings, run the test, automate it.
Mark and I have always been an advocate for third-party plugins for AI systems. Why not be able to leverage, Brian, what you've seen in production?
Yeah.
Henrik, what you've seen, what I've seen, as a set of rules that can further educate an AI engine. This is a pattern to look for. This is a symptom. This is the resolution, and then have it build, its own inference rule set to go through and analyze based upon the data that it has. I think that would be extremely powerful. We haven't really seen an analytical engine which allows us to introduce user-defined rule sets in this case. I'm hoping Dynatrace gets there eventually.
I know we're opening up the AI for external inputs, so I'm not exactly sure that's going to go, but I think we'll be finding out a little bit more about that tomorrow, probably, I hope.
That'll be exciting.
But the other cool thing, to your point, even testing out different configurations, right? Just the other day we announced the auto remediation via Ansible Tower, right? So I'm brainstorming in my head, wondering, let's say you want to test 3 or 4 different configurations for your system. I wonder if you'd be able to run a test and all via automation, leverage that by saying, the auto remediation would be like, hey, if you notice the CPU hitting 1%, maybe add it in another server or something. I wonder if you can hack it so that it be test runs. When that test completes, auto remediate to push out a new configuration, and run the test again. Don't know if it's possible, but just again, if we have these APIs, I think any of this stuff probably is possible.
Imagine that just a fresh new architecture, and then I need to tune my servers. So I run this on Friday evening at 8 p.m. or let's say Thursday evening at 8 p.m. I go to home, and then Friday morning, I got the best settings that has been defined, and the settings has been pushed through a Puppet script or, I don't know, any type of configuration scripts in my Git repository, and that we have all the config.
Well, let's take a finite example. Let's say I have a font on every page, and as I'm running my test, the analytical engine notice I keep requesting this font. This is a fixed asset, should be cached at least within the context of a user session. So the resolution of that is I build a rule which changes the MIME type caching for font, so it's at least as long as the user session. Hopefully as long as the build delivery schedule, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so I only have to download that asset once if I'm a repeat customer to the site. And boom, that goes directly back into Git, that gets pushed into the next build, and the server gets provisioned, the MIME type gets configured and changed. Next time you run the test, it only downloads that asset once during the entire user session. Boom, load reduces, cost reduces to the client, and improved user response time.
Yeah, I think
I think we're just scratching the surface. Yeah.
We're not there yet.
That's me, Mr. Finite.
But it's approaching, right? There's steps that we're getting step by step closer and closer to those things, and I think that's the exciting part. As companies like R2 work on, let's integrate the APIs and figure out what we can do. More things start presenting themselves as possibilities, and then the architecture is there. It's a matter of figuring out how to put the layer in to control all that. So I think it's just a matter of time. Who knows how long, but I think potentially it's there. There's, I can't see a technical reason why that can't be done.
So think about it. The time from when generational innovation to the next is decreasing as we move, through the IT generations. We're getting almost like a Moore's law in software. In this case, a doubling of capability once every 18 months. So I see no reason why, after 2 to 3 generations of AI, that we're not sophisticated enough that the AI can make these decisions for us.
Yeah, and speed up the testing, speed up the releases, and increase the quality.
And then Skynet comes to life.
And we all die.
Yes. Hey,
Well, hopefully not.
we don't have to work anymore.
Yeah. We'll figure out something. Don't worry.
All right. Anything else? You're leaving tonight, right? So how you've been here? You came. You were here yesterday. Did you come on Sunday or Monday?
I arrived Sunday night. Yes.
Okay. So how was your time here today?
Oh, awesome. I mean, once you perform, it's like being in casino. You don't feel the time anymore.
Because it's all indoors, right? It's crazy.
So no, it's always a pleasure, and I think it's too bad that I'm not able to make it tomorrow. Because there's always things to do for business.
Mm-hmm.
But sure, I mean, next year for sure, and we will also be at Perform with Barcelona this year.
So I gotta get over there, but
So yeah, I think it's going to be. I mean, Europe or Catalonia? I don't know. Perform Catalonia.
Yeah. See. That's very good. And it actually fits in because that new replay is from Finland. So I think that's why they're basing it there. But the person who's in the European cities. I'm not going over to France yet.
Oh, you have to. It's also French music.
Yes.
The French California.
All right, excellent. James, any other last thoughts?
Perform Catalonia?
Catalonia.
Yeah, also maybe one small announcement for those who followed the Neotys PAC. So be prepared because soon we will have the virtual PAC coming on. So we probably, if you're interested to be part of the PAC, don't forget to send me an email. I will be very pleased to get, if you're interested to be a part of it, present any topic. We would love to have you on board, guys.
And that's the PACNA.
Yes.
And this is generic masculine in this case. Does not exclude women.
No, of course.
It's just, or we have to convert to PAC human or something.
PAC human or something. We figure out.
But what if it's an orangutan?
If you can find an orangutan
Like we
who
talked about.
has a fantastic view on application performance and can present well, I think we should open it up to different species at that point.
Okay.
Even unicorns.
Even you. There's plenty of unicorns. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.